First off, thank you so much to the team for bringing this together. This is just really something special, and to create this incubation of thought and bringing the minds together is something that's a huge inspiration, has touched my life in a big way. And really what I'm going to be speaking about, and I've been reflecting on this in the duration of getting to know everybody here, is really how to cultivate that which Annika and Dave have been speaking about. Really, something that I would add is really looking at the emotional intelligence, really how these people can interact with themselves and with others. Putting yourself out there, what does that mean? How does that look? And how to manage your own mind in a really interesting way. So this whole cultivating a healthy mind, what I'm going to speak about is really, what is a healthy mind? What does that look like? How can that translate to a healthy culture within a company? And ultimately, what is this new brain sensing technology that's out there, which is something really exciting? What I'm really going to be speaking about is my experience in training my own brain and training other companies to cultivate really healthy and happy cultures, and my work with brain sensing technology. So you guys can really understand how much thoughts matter, and really what's happening within our internal environment affects our external environment in a very, very big way. And a great thing to do is to start.
Turn it off again?
No, it's I didn't touch it. Now the thing isn't even turning up. Ah!
No, I'm doing it.
Okay, I'll just point. All right, it all. So it all started when I was really young. I had this fascination with minds, and really what this mind is, and why do I have certain types of thoughts, and how people interact. I would always watch people, and I found out it was something called tout flaneur. In the Parisian arcades, they invented this thing, I don't know. Anyways, I would observe people and really inquire, why is life easier for some people and harder for others? And why am I emotionally reacting in certain ways in certain moments when I don't really have to do that? And so it really fueled my next journey in life, which is I traveled the world over the past 11 years, really seeking out the top trainers within mind training. So I trained with gurus and roshis and yogis and monks all over the world, and really inquired them. What the heck are you really all about? You know, what is this? What is this mind, and how does it function? And a big catalyzing moment was actually meeting this gentleman who's a friend of mine, a colleague at the University of Toronto. He was working with something called Mindfulness. And what really a lot of this training over the past 11 years of being steeped within different meditations and meditative traditions, and exploring who I am, getting to know myself better, learning, why do I feel tension and anxiety in these moments, and how can I ground myself to not really have to feel that, and how come my past experiences are really fueling the type of person that I am in the present moment. And I found over the past 11 years that we can actually change the way that we see and interact with the world. We're not hardwired to being a certain person. So never think that you can't. Never think that this will never happen. And really taking lead of these very passionate, inspirational speakers right before, you can do anything if you take that step, if you start working towards something sequentially. And so my vision of myself, the way I was seeing the world started shifting very dramatically. And I realized that really true happiness came from a very deep alignment of my own values, how deep my relationships are with other people. If I'm helping and really giving back in a certain way, and doing all of that in a very sustainable and skillful manner. And so I started employing it in the workplace for myself. I was really doing all this for myself to really refine my own skills, and I tested it out. And so I started working with it. I started working with my own mind and really excelling within work, working very, very, very hard, and being able to push myself to these limits that I never thought possible with a smile on my face. And then I started bringing that into organizations, coaching teams, coaching others in clinic. I coach doctors and nurses, these medical professionals at a whole bunch of hospitals in Toronto. And then now I've been doing a lot of work with something called mindfulness-based emotional intelligence training, which is a big mouthful, but it's been coined by Google in a big thing called search inside yourself. And so that brings me to the present moment where I'm not hooked up to a crazy computer right now, but all of that past experience catalyzed a very unique moment where an anthropologist sought me out to research my brain while I go through a lot of these different types of contemplative trainings, these attentional trainings that I was putting myself through. And also with my work at University of Toronto, teaching over there, and my work in different organizations, connected me with Interaxon. And essentially this is me in something called an EEG device at one of our research partners, Baycrest, charting how stable my attention is in different practices. So we really revolutionized this in a very big way. And so the next slide brings me to Interaxon is a thought-controlled computing company. And what we did is, it's something that I'm very excited to be a part of because it's sort of catalyzed the apex of science, technology, and the contemplative arts of training the mind. And in the way that we have something called MUSE, which I'm going to show you in a tiny bit, that monitors your brainwave signatures that are being emitted from your mind. It shows you a certain type of brainwave signature that you're emitting, and we can interpret what state you're at, if you're relaxed, if you're agitated, if you're focused, if you're concentrating, if you're overanalyzing or judging. And just to give you a little bit of a brief about Interaxon, we were around for 5 years. Over the past 5 years, did installations in the Olympics. So we had people, just to give you an insight of where mind science is going to, we had people on one side of the country controlling, with their brainwaves, colors changing and these patterns changing on government buildings on the East Coast. We had on the CN Tower in the Niagara Falls, the colors changing. We've had installations in different museums where people can play symphonies with the different types of brainwaves that they're emitting. We also have games that we've created because our big focus is on brain health and really getting to understand how your brain functions, to be able to provide you freedom emotionally, cognitively, and physically. So we have a levitating chair, actually, that depending on your level of relaxation, it will actually start rising. We have games that train your level of focus and attention because you can start moving things based on how strong your output, the strength of your focus is. Just give you a little bit of a taste of what this technology is going to. And the most important thing, that thoughts matter. They are matter. And that's something that's very powerful. When you put out an intention that this is what I'm going to do, or visualizing my best, the best case scenario of my company and where I'm going to go, that does, and I'm using this word all the time, but that catalyzes reality to come up, to meet you in a unique way. I've seen it happen to me many times. And so we take all of this and we've packaged it now to the next slide, which isn't a slide, but in something called MUSE. It's a brain sensing headband that we launched just last month here at Las Vegas at CES. And it's a 4-sensor headband that monitors the unique brainwave signature of your brain. And it can interpret them and give you feedback in real time based on how you're feeling and how you're doing. You can interpret this and you can actually store this and tag it in unique ways to be able to start cultivating self-awareness. Really seeing that, wow, if I'm having these thoughts, they affect me like this. Or wow, I'm drifting off and I'm thinking about, the most awesome party in Las Vegas that I just had when I should be focused on this beautiful novel that I'm writing or whichever. It's pretty phenomenal, and the reason why I'm so excited about that is the fact that this brings it to that peak. That's where science and technology are at a point that they can facilitate and help us grow in very unique ways and help society grow and make that transition, that shift into becoming socially aware and aware of themselves and how they impact the environment. So we'll go to the next one. And what you can quantify, you can control. Something that's been a sort of a hidden truth in brain health is the fact that America is the most anxious country in the world. 70 to 90% of all medical visits are linked to stress. And this is a perception-based system. We have almost everything we can imagine, yet we're the most anxious country in the world. Wow, that's something that should spark there is a gap where we haven't been, or I should ask, how have we been cultivating a healthy internal environment? What types of training programs do we have that can help us be that best self? That we can be open and accepting to what's happening in the present moment and not judging ourselves harsh that we are drifting all the time, or that we're analyzing or judging ourselves or the moment or our partner or whatever that might be. What types of systems are set in place? And so science and technology have brought us to that point where we can actually find those systems, and that's what I'm going to share with you in a tiny bit. And so with this quantified movement, what we're doing right here is a big call to action as well when it comes to how can we use that technology that I just showed you here, especially within the workplace environment. Something that is very strong and dear to me is the fact that what happens at home impacts what happens at work, and then what happens at work impacts what happens at home. So the big question is, what are we doing as organizations to give back to our employees? How are we cultivating them to more easily deal with life? We're more digitally connected yet personally disconnected. So I really feel what's happening at Zappos is a beautiful thing, and what's happening here is the new community. The traditional structures of community are actually, they're disintegrating, and society's reforming in a way where work is now the new community, because that's where we're spending the most amount of our time. Yet our workers, their attention is being pulled in so many directions that we're forgetting that we have a choice of what we place our attention to and what we don't. So we got to harness that. We got to take control in a very unique way. And I feel it's actually the duty of organizations to give that power to all the employees so that we can cultivate healthy minds and then, therefore, healthy cultures. In the past, rigid structures, emotions, what the hell is that? Get that away, out of here. It's not beneficial. This isn't an issue. Top-down approach, the few know more than the many, And from my experience coaching a lot of these types of organizations, there's kickback. That causes stress, that causes tension, that causes inflexibility. That's an ineffective approach towards innovative thinking. And right now, over 50 to 60% of our population are thought workers. We're not working on factory lines anymore, so we got to cultivate systems that cultivate healthy minds. And so the next step is the new way. And this is awesome because this was the first image that popped up when I typed in modern organization. Yeah, how awesome is that? And it's so pertinent because what we're doing here is, we can cultivate healthy minds by cultivating healthy environments as well. So these are open, accepting, these are emotionally intelligent environments that help stimulate, to help rise rather than to be in that autocratic movement. So the next step is looking how we can bestow what I feel and what I've seen really work well, where I've been going by myself into organizations and help cultivate attentional abilities, emotional intelligence abilities, all these other facets of mind. We're giving and bestowing the life skills to our workers and to ourselves so that we can better handle everything that's happening in our life. It's not just in that one moment where we really need to be there. It's that sustainable fluidity, that effectiveness, and that productivity in everything that we do. And so the way we do that is through something called mindfulness. And this is what I wanted to share with you really briefly, where the science behind this is right now reaching that point where it's just massive. Society's going to be coming into a knowledge of this over the next couple months. You may have heard the key term, hey, let's be mindful. But what mindfulness is paying attention in the present moment on purpose without judging, evaluating, or overanalyzing that scenario. You're there fully present with it, and you notice when you're drifting off. But you don't judge that. You just sort of come back. Okay, I'm here. I'm focused, and I'm in control. Number one clinical tool for stress, depression, anxiety, and pain. That's pretty powerful. This is a very simple and effective training protocol where you train your mind to be attentive, to be focused in a very unique way. And it was created at something called the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program. Was created at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. It's an 8-week training program where once a day you train these types of modalities, and then you go through a daily practice of really, sometimes you do attention in your body, attention on the breath, attention on your thoughts, attention to the sounds, sort of sensing their distance and their direction. Even right now, paying attention to your body, dropping your shoulders. If maybe there's some tightness there, you can release it. In your belly, sometimes we hold some holding in that area. Just taking a few breaths there and sort of feeling that release happen too. We can anchor ourselves in the present moment by these different cues. Number one training for IQ, EQ, attention, and stress resilience. The U.S. military is using this right now. Something mindfulness-based mental fitness training. And then the next slide will show us, it's over 500 published research articles are happening to this all the time. But it's coming into, I'm going to speak, actually I have to leave right after this to go to San Francisco, where what happens is all these companies are coming together to speak about how to bring mindfulness into organizations. Mindfulness-based emotional intelligence training is coined by Google. And it's some awesome, awesome abilities where we're starting to understand that we need to cultivate healthy minds. And that will create healthy companies in a very big, big way. I'll go to the next slide. So what a healthy mind looks like, so we'll go back. So we're seeing through research that brain training makes really real changes, and any way that we can support that is a huge benefit. And with new technology, like for example with MUSE and other types of quantified self-type tracking instruments, we can facilitate that growth, motivate people to take that practice to search inside yourself, because sometimes it can be very difficult and quite daunting as well. What the heck am I doing here? Am I going to sit? Am I going to close my eyes? And what is this all about? But the great thing is the science is showing that your prefrontal cortex, so this area of decision-making skills, your attention area thickens and grows like a muscle, that your brain actually changes structure and function based on what you are doing with it. So as you work it out, it actually changes in unique ways and gets better at certain ways of doing things. And we'll go to the next one. What a great brain looks like. So what is a fit mind? And mindfulness, by the way, is coined as the core fundamental skill and ability that we all need to have a healthy mind. Mental agility. So in face of obstacles, how can we be creative and respond skillfully? Emotional intelligence. Can we see ourselves clearly, express ourselves clearly? Can we have deep interpersonal relationships, handle stress, and create very responsible decision-making abilities? Do we have situational awareness? So how do we interact in the present moment and unfold? So what would you do with all those abilities and those skill sets? And how would that change the way that you see the world? Because it's done an incredible thing to me and a countless numbers of other people. And so the next slide is going to show. Oh, you have to stop? Okay, can we do the last, just the last one?
The last one.
Okay, perfect.
We're 5 minutes behind.
Oh, sorry. So there's technology that can support that. And it's making it life easier to be able to train your mind for it to be healthy, to improve focus, and to play games where you can actually start working all these different skills that are going to help us within life. And so my call to action to all of you is to go out there and to really explore what does it mean to have a healthy mind? How will that impact the environment around you? And maybe you could use some brain sensing technology to make that happen. So thank you.
One question, so make it really good. Oh, that guy in the back. He had his hand up first.
Sure.
In the hat.
Does MUSE have any APIs or SDKs for musical interactions, like MIDI or OSC?
Great question. It's we actually are providing an open SDK to all developers. Organizations are coming on. We have strategic partnerships that I'm dealing with right now, and grants from governments to be able to research this. And we have a lot of sound designers making some incredible, unique things. You could play sounds with your mind.
I've been to play piano with my mind for a couple months now, so.
There you go. There you go. So we have an open SDK, and always searching for new partnerships and to be able to create some unique ways that we can bring this to the world. Yeah, sure. We'll reach out for sure. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.